Hi, this is George Kaiho of Jenison in Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas is about here. Took me like 20 minutes to draw this map. Today, I'm gonna talk about the age of discovery. If you like history like I do, it's like most people love this part of the history. It's very cool. So as most people know from history, I'm gonna quickly explain. Okay, Venice or Genova, like basically the strong cities of Italy, was the main part of the trade after the Crusade has gone on, and basically Europe got exposed to the Middle East or the Islamic world, or basically wherever like the trade was happening. So Italy, specifically Venice, dominated the trade through the Mediterranean Sea. So they are here, they go, and then the major port, the station is Cairo, today's Egypt, or there are other cities, and they'll trade, and then they will trade with the Arabian guys or the Central Asian guys or the Indian guys or China, all the way to China. They will trade with them. They will do this trade, and then this was a hub, and then they will do this trade. So the things that were being traded were pepper, like black peppers, cinnamon, other star anise, or other spices in general, which India was huge on, and some specific spices that come from the islands of Southeast Asia. I'll explain about that later. But they were dominating whatever that was coming into Europe. So countries that were newly built, like Portugal and Spain, whenever they wanted to go into the trade, they couldn't get in. So they tried to do this, to establish a different route to get to India, so that they can trade with them directly. So that's how it all started. And then quickly do a digest. So it started with the Venice guys doing it, and in about 100, not exactly of course, in about 100 years span, the power that, like, the largest power in the world usually shifts. So it shifted in this order. So first was the Venice, and then the Portugal took over because they were quicker than Spain to establish, to build up their country. But they were quicker. And then Spain followed, and Spain became one of the largest. And then Holland and England, about the same timing, became more strong, and it became, before it was Portugal versus Spain, and then it eventually became Holland versus England, and then England, of course, they're assholes, so they kind of went off from that, and then today it's United States for good reasons. So talking about that with alcohol, I must begin with the Spice Islands. So of course, pepper and cinnamon, I'm gonna show you the spices that I have. Like, these are peppers: black pepper, white pepper, green pepper, pink peppercorns. Most of these will start from the single plant, and it kind of looks like a grape. It has stem and has a seed, and then as they mature, they change color. That's why we have a good mixture. Peppers were big because we still do it today. Like, you get a meat or some sort of protein, you put salt and pepper, right? Not only it makes it taste good, it kills the germs, so it lets it preserve longer, so you can enjoy the meat fresher, like fresh meat, like it's longer. Like before, you say you kill a pig to eat, like one family can only eat so much per night, and then you gotta save that throughout the year, or especially in the winter. The winter time comes, a lot of your livestock like cannot go through the winter, so you have to kill most of them, and then you gotta preserve them. Basically, you gotta put it in salt, so it preserves, and then you gotta eat salted meat throughout the winter, and that sucks. It doesn't taste good. With these things added, cloves, nutmeg, it makes it flavorful and it kills the germs. So they were highly in demand, and then they don't grow where it's cold, so you gotta go get them or you gotta trade them. So Portugal was the first one that, I mean, it's in history, the Vasco da Gama and all that kind of guys. They were the first one to reach Calcutta, India, and then later on they were able to hang out in this area, establish connection, establish ports and whatnot. They even went to Japan and sold the guns. They introduced guns to Japan samurai, like the first time. Like Japan, like samurai, they never seen a gun before. So like they sold like 3 like guns. I mean, musket. It's like the one with the, it's like the string, and then you put a ball inside, and then like that kind of style. Flintlock? Oh no, not flintlock. Sorry, before pre flintlock. They sold them for like 3 guns. They sold them for like $3 million or something like that. I mean, I'm not being precise on the money. And then, oh shit, like I sold like this guns. It's like a normal thing here. Like I sold them for so expensive. Yes, I'm gonna come back next year and sell more. Yeah, they came back, and Japan, they figured out how to replicate it, and then they were making thousands of guns on their own. Like, oh, like guns? We can make it ourselves. Like, sorry, totally sidetracked. But anyways, Portugal and then eventually Spain, they were all over the world. And one of the most important islands was the Molucca Islands, which is today's like Indonesia, this area, like Papua New Guinea. This is Papua New Guinea, by the way, and Malaysia, Indonesia. Anyways, this island was like where the most of the spices came from. Specifically cloves. Cloves look like this. It looks like a I, or just like a T, like that. Smells really good. So cloves originate from that island, and more importantly, nutmeg. It's a nutmeg. It's basically a seed part of a fruit of a tree. Oh, all right. So these guys came from here, and then especially nutmeg. So like people will think, oh, if you found this here, why don't you just bring it closer and then grow it? Where it's like, why don't you just like bring it right here? Why don't you grow it right here? Right? It's closer. You don't have to go all the way. Yes, but some of them, they don't. It's not as easy to grow them, especially nutmeg. Nutmeg apparently have like a male tree and a female tree, and you can't just like take the seed and plant it. You need to bring both of them, graft it. It's basically a lot more difficult than you think to just bring the stuff and start growing elsewhere. So, and then also another thing is they were dominating, especially Portugal was dominating these islands, and they were able to get here and trade with them, but other new ones like Holland or England, they couldn't get here, or even they were physically able to get. You gotta come like this, but physically able to get here. They were there, so they were blocking all the stuff and they were controlling what comes in and out. So they didn't really want the stuff to, like plants to move out either, because they were already in control. So taking over this was a major deal. And why does that relate to alcohol, which I'm gonna talk about? It's because when you come from Europe all the way to here, it takes months to get, and then months to go home. So you need high proof alcohol in order to have safe drinking water, which is something I talked about on the distill spirits story, that high alcohol kills germs. So you want to have high alcohol on your ship, because when you're on the ship for months, and then you can stop by here and there, but like there's no guarantee. So you want to, and then there's no guarantee or rainwater either. So you need to keep water on your ship, otherwise you're gonna die. So you need alcohol to add it on so that you can drink safe water. And then you gotta go buy the cloves, nutmeg, all these spices, so you have spices on your ship. And then you need some sort of citrus, some sort of vitamin C, in order to prevent from disease. Like scurvy is a really major disease you will get if you lack on nutrition, because if you're on the ship for months, you're very limited on what you're gonna eat every day. So lack of nutrition was a big deal. In this case, so like all that kind of stuff is gonna relate to the punch story, which I'm gonna post on a different video. So I'll talk more about that there. Today I'm gonna talk and conclude with the major spirits that each of these countries had, and those really are closely related to being on ships. So I'm gonna start with these guys, because Venice, like they only took like a week or so. Like they were close, so they didn't have to worry about being on a ship for months. So start with Portugal. Portugal, they had this port wine, which is popular, right? Like most people know port wine. Okay, it's like a red wine, but like stronger. Some are sweeter, dessert. So port wine is made from red wine, and then it has alcohol added. So basically, they added brandy into the wine. It's called fortified wine. Added booze, so that raises the alcohol level. It also stops the fermentation. It kills the germs, basically, or germs or yeasts, microorganism. And then you sweeten to your liking, so it's gonna last long on a ship. Sherry, it's the same thing. This is sherry. Cheers. Sherry is pretty much exactly the same as port wine, although I mean there are a lot of things about sherry. Sherry is pretty complicated, but same thing. It's overall it's the same thing. Sherry is usually made from mostly white wine, and then booze are added to make it stronger alcohol, and then it's aged. There are a lot more categories on sherry, which it'll be on another video. So sherry, same deal. This is Oloroso particular. It's fully oxidized sherry. Dutch, this is not directly connected to being on a ship, but this is whatever they came up with. Genever is gin, today's gin, Holland gin or Geneva. Like they still call it Geneva gin. This is not meant for the ship, but it is high alcohol, and wherever the Dutch people went, they took it with them. So, like a small story, my uncle, he worked in the oil industry, gas and oil industry. So he was in East Africa. I forgot which country. Kenya. I forgot which exact country. I think Kenya. Kenya used to be Dutch colony, right? I think so. So he was in this area, and then he was like an offshore, or like semi-offshore, not like deep water, but offshore oil. So whenever they do excavation or dig it up, they will often dig up a Dutch ship, and then there were like a lot of bottles of gin, empty, unfortunately. But like when I visited his place, he has like several bottles. The gin he brought back from Africa. In Dutch also, I'm Japanese, I know the Japanese history. Dutch was the only, or Holland, no, same difference. They were the only country that were able to do business with Japan. So gin, there were gin in Japan too back then. Pretty cool story. Geneva, yeah. And then Britain, of course, gin was popular too, right? London Dry. I picked up the IPA, which IPA, the name stands for Indian Pale Ale. So India means India, or West Indies. Pale means pale in color. Ale is the style of making beer, lager versus ale. So IPA was a style that's high alcohol, and they put a bunch of hops, which are herbs. If you put a bunch of hops, it lasts longer, so it's long life. So this was a beer, although compared to these ones, it's lower alcohol, but it was meant to be on the ship for a long time. And lastly, I'm gonna talk about Amaros. So Italy has a totally different background or upbringing or situation compared to these guys. These guys went out and about all over the world. Today I'm not gonna talk about the Americas because I'm gonna talk about that on the rum video. But so I'm totally not talking about the Americas, but they were all around the world. But Italy kept relatively here because they already had the connection. They were already dominating. Oh, this connection. So they kind of came in being for a different way. So they specialize in Amaro because they could get so much herbs and spices and fruits and whatnot through trade. And then Italy itself is a Mediterranean climate, it's warmer climate country, so like you could grow a lot of different things. So you had herbs and botanicals and fruits on hand compared to like northern country where not much fruits. And then they get stuff through trade, so they have a lot of things to pick up. So that's why Amaro, basically it's you take a booze and you soak a lot of different herbs and spices, became more popular. Alright, so that'll conclude the story for today. Cheers!